It's a warm September night in Marbella, Spain. The Aqwa Mist nightclub pulses with life, music throbbing through the sticky air, a kaleidoscope of lights painting the walls. Among the swaying crowd stands Agnese Klavina, a 30-year-old Latvian waitress who chased dreams from her homeland to this sun-drenched paradise. One grainy CCTV frame captures her stepping outside, heels clicking on pavement, the last moment she's seen alive. What made her vanish into the night, leaving only whispers and shadows behind? Agnese wasn't just another face in the crowd. She had journeyed from Latvia to London, then landed in Marbella, a coastal haven where expats mingled under palm trees. It was a world away from her homeland, where the chill of Baltic winters was replaced by the relentless Spanish sun. She often joked about missing the snow, but her eyes betrayed a deeper longing for the familiar. With her warm smile and bubbly laugh, she worked tables, charming diners who adored her spark. Friends called her the heartbeat of any gathering, always armed with a quip or a kind gesture. Yet on September 6, 2014, that light flickered out. She entered Aqwa Mist that evening, blending into the revelry, unaware that fate lurked just beyond the neon glow. As dawn crept closer, around 5 a.m., Agnese stepped into the cool embrace of the morning. Maybe she craved fresh air after hours of dancing, or perhaps work loomed later that day. Whatever pulled her outside, she didn't go alone. Two men approached, their figures sharp against the dim streetlights. Wesley Capper and Craig Porter, British expats known around town. Words tangled in the air, then turned physical. The CCTV footage freezes the scene. Agnese, reluctant, forced into a sleek Mercedes S63 AMG. Tires squealed, and the car melted into the darkness, swallowing her whole. Silence followed. Her phone pinged for 14 fleeting minutes after she left the club, then went dead. Her social media, once alive with snapshots of tapas and sunsets, froze in time. When she didn't appear for her next shift, worry rippled through her colleagues. Her family in Latvia, unable to reach her, sounded the alarm. Spanish police stepped in, launching a missing persons hunt that would soon spiral across borders. The investigation zeroed in on Capper and Porter. A chilling detail emerged. The day after Agnese vanished, a motorboat owned by Capper's wealthy family slipped into the sea. Witnesses swore they saw three men heaving a large, heavy bag aboard. Was it evidence sinking beneath the waves? Detectives seized the vessel, combing it for clues, but the answers stayed stubbornly out of reach. Days bled into weeks, then months with no trace of Agnese. Her loved ones clung to fragile hope, while dread gnawed at their edges. Marbella's expat bubble shuddered. This playground of sun and sangria now harbored a grim secret, a reminder that beneath the glittering surface lay darker currents, transient lives, hidden vices, and a sense of lawlessness that the wealthy often mistook for freedom. Friends rallied, strangers searched, all chasing a miracle. The police traced the Mercedes through traffic cameras, but the trail evaporated. Latvian, Spanish, and British authorities tangled in a web of jurisdictions, yet the question lingered. Where was Agnese? The case promised twists, a courtroom showdown looming, but that's a tale for another breath. For now, imagine her standing there, under the nightclub's flickering sign, the sea breeze tugging at her hair. What happened in those lost hours? This is her story, a puzzle of heartbreak and haunting unknowns, waiting to unfold. Hooked already? Stick around and subscribe for the full story. Marbella's sun rose over a coastline, kissed by wealth and whispers. But for Agnese Klavina's family, it illuminated only absence. In Latvia, her sister Gunta paced a cramped kitchen, clutching a phone that refused to ring. She always answered, Gunta later said, her voice cracking like dry earth. Always. Across the sea in Spain, panic unfurled. Friends roamed the beaches, their calls for Agnese drowned by crashing waves, while police cordoned off Aqwa Mist, the nightclub where she'd last laughed, danced, lived. The expat paradise buzzed with dread, but the scent of her trail was fading fast. Spanish police, accustomed to petty thefts and drunken scuffles, faced a case that sprawled beyond their grasp. Latvian authorities pressed in, their demands sharp but tangled in translation and bureaucracy. Into this fray stepped Juan Martinez, a private investigator with a weathered face and a hunter's instinct. Hired by Agnese's desperate kin, he seized the first solid thread: grainy CCTV footage. It showed Agnese, unsteady on her heels, her arm gripped by two men as they shoved her into a sleek Mercedes. "This isn't a missing person," Martinez muttered, jaw tight. "This is an abduction." The car led to Wesley Capper, a British expat with a silver spoon and a shadowed history. His sidekick, Craig Porter, was a wiry drifter, his record speckled with small-time sins. Whispers of a late-night boat trip, Capper's family vessel, three silhouettes, a heavy sack sinking into the sea, sent police storming the docks. Divers sliced through the water, their lights probing the depths, but the ocean held its tongue. DNA became the family's fragile lifeline. Strands from Agnese's hairbrush, a vial of her mother's blood, a plea for closure. The lab hummed with promise, only to murmur back uncertainty. No match, no proof. The Find Agnese Klavina campaign flared online, a beacon drawing eyes and hearts worldwide. Then in 2014, a breakthrough. Capper and Porter were hauled into custody. By 2019, they stood in a courtroom, Agnese's mother staring them down, her daughter's photo trembling in her hands. The charge, unlawful detention, dangled like a half-truth, hinting at murder but crippled without a body. Capper's lawyer painted him as a misguided playboy. Porter, hollow-eyed, said nothing. The verdict landed soft. Guilty of coercion, not kidnapping. Suspended sentences. They strode free, leaving the gallery gasping. "Justice!" Gunta spat, tears streaking her cheeks. "This is a mockery." Appeals clawed their way to Spain's Supreme Court, but the wheels turned slow. In 2021, Capper's death from COVID snuffed out a key voice, his secrets buried with him. Porter, passport confiscated, slunk into Marbella's underbelly. The case might have withered there, a cold file among thousands, until 2023 cracked it open again. A gardener, Bartolo Gallego, stumbled on a red suitcase near a golf course, its contents grim. A skull, splintered bones, a woman's remains, aged 25 to 35. Agnese's age. DNA tests raced forward, but the results lingered, trapped in limbo, keeping hope and despair in a cruel dance. Marbella's sheen dulled as gossip swirled among the expats, their transient lives a perfect cloak for darkness. Martinez, relentless, scanned the horizon. "She's out there," he swore, voice a low rumble, "waiting to be heard." The investigation balanced on a knife's edge, breakthrough or bust. Were her bones lost to the tides, or hidden closer, mocking them all? One question burned, fierce as the midday sun. Would these remains finally name her, or would Agnese drift forever in the unknown? Then in 2024, the plot twisted sharper. A bartender from Aqwa Mist, silent for a decade, stepped forward, hands shaking. There was a third man, he rasped. She argued with him that night. Not Capper, not Porter, someone else. He had a tattoo on his neck, a snake or something. I remember because it was unusual. The claim jolted the case alive. Who was this ghost and why had he vanished? Detectives chased the lead, but the bartender's recollection blurred, worn thin by years and fear. Forensic teams revisited the suitcase bones, their tools peeling back new layers. A fractured hyoid bone screamed strangulation, a violent echo at odds with a simple sea disposal. Yet without DNA tying it to Agnese, it was a taunt, not a truth. In Latvia, Gunta lit candles nightly, her prayers a soft chant against the void. Bring her home, she whispered, her resolve fraying but unbroken. Martinez pounded Marbella's streets, flashing photos, knocking on doors, hunting the phantom third man who melted into the city's cracks. As the 10th anniversary loomed, a podcast, Vanished in Paradise, dug up a buried report. Days after Agnese vanished, a witness saw a woman matching her description, staggering near the golf course. Dismissed then, it roared to life now. Volunteers swept the area, flashlights piercing the twilight, but found only shadows. Each clue shimmered like a mirage, promising answers yet delivering dust. The confrontation stretched on, a relentless tug-of-war with truth. Through it all, Agnese's family held fast to one certainty. She deserved to be found, her fate known, her memory whole. Their fight endured, a quiet fire against the dark, fueled by love that refused to fade. The sun sank below the horizon in Marbella, painting the sky with streaks of amber and shadow. For a decade, this glittering coastal city had guarded a secret, one that gnawed at the hearts of Agnese Klavina's family. 10 years after she vanished from a nightclub's pulsing lights in 2014, the truth remained elusive, a phantom slipping through time. In 2023, skeletal remains emerged near a golf course, stirring a flicker of hope. Yet as DNA tests lingered inconclusive into 2025, that hope withered, leaving only echoes of a woman lost. The courtroom had offered little solace. Wesley Capper and Craig Porter, the last men seen with Agnese, stood trial in 2019. The charge? Coercion, not kidnapping. Suspended sentences let them slip back into the world, a ruling that struck Agnese's family like a muted thunderclap. They took her, and the law gave her back to no one, her sister Gunta whispered, her words fragile yet sharp. Appeals crawled to Spain's Supreme Court, a slow march through a legal labyrinth. But Capper's death in 2021 from COVID silenced one voice forever. Porter, his passport confiscated, melted into Marbella's fringes, a living shadow in a case that refused to rest. Then came 2024, a jolt to the stillness. A bartender, his memory pried open by guilt, claimed a third man had clashed with Agnese that night. Who was he? A specter without a name? He darted through the investigation like a wisp of fog. Detectives lunged at the lead, only to grasp air. Forensic teams pored over the bones again, their fractured hyoid bone hinting at strangulation, a violent whisper at odds with tales of a body cast to sea. Still, without DNA tying it to Agnese, it floated, a clue unmoored from proof. Marbella's expat haven, once alive with laughter and clinking glasses, grew heavy with her absence. Her story wove into the fabric of the streets, a murmured warning shared over twilight drinks. Gunta lit candles in Latvia, their glow a quiet rebellion against despair. She's out there, and we'll find her, she vowed, her strength a threadbare shield. Private investigator Juan Martinez, his eyes etched with the strain of countless leads, kept moving, chasing rumors of the third man, each step a plea for answers. The 10th anniversary neared, and a podcast vanished in paradise, dredged up a forgotten detail. A witness, days after Agnese disappeared, had glimpsed a woman like her, staggering near the golf course. Brushed aside then, it roared back now. Volunteers combed the area, their lights slicing the dusk, but the ground held its silence. Every revelation shimmered briefly, a promise of closure that crumbled to ash. Agnese Klavina's case is a tapestry of longing and loss, a family's tireless hunt for a truth that dances just out of reach. Those remains from 2023 might be hers, or they might belong to another untold story. DNA, if it ever speaks, could mend or break the hope that lingers. For now she hovers in the in-between, neither wholly gone nor wholly recovered. What do you make of it? Do the bones belong to Agnese, or are they a cruel coincidence? Did the courts miss the mark, letting justice slip through their fingers, or were they shackled by the absence of her body? And that third man, does he unlock the mystery, or is he a distraction in a maze of them? These questions keep her story breathing, alive with the ache of the unsolved. As we step back, see Agnese not just as a riddle, but as a soul who lived brightly before the dark claimed her. Her laughter, her dreams, her light, they matter. Her fate may drift in shadow, but her mark on those who seek her does not. So tell me your theory below. Do you think foul play stretched beyond what the law grasped? Are the remains hers, waiting to be named? What about that third man, key or mirage? Drop your thoughts, let's unravel this together. If Agnese's story pulled you in, subscribe for more mysteries that cling to the soul, tales that demand to be told.